I would not like to tell you anything about the film because it's for you to discover. I won't tell much about the film because it's for you to discover. But there are certain things that I want to introduce. Homebound is based on a true story that happened in India around 2020, and it was made as an op-ed piece written for the New York Times by Vishal Jethwa, and that story was the base for this film. And we've been campaigning for our Academy Award nominations and entries. We started our campaign in New York in September, where Mr. Martin Scorsese was gracious enough to host a screening and do a Q&A with me. He is also the executive producer on this film, and his continued support for about a year and a half on this film has been instrumental in shaping the film the way it is. And after the screening, please hang back. We'll do a Q&A, and our stars are also going to be here. And I hope you enjoy the film. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Great. Well, in case you didn't already know, this film Homebound is India's entry to the upcoming Academy Awards. And it's been shortlisted for Best International Feature Film. And, right? Isn't that great? And we'd like to bring out some of the people who are in this film, or who made this film, so you can hear from them. Are you all here? Back in the back? Okay, great. Well, first, I'd like to introduce the person who's responsible for this film, who directed and wrote this film, Neeraj Ghaywan. Welcome. And also the two actors who are in this film, fabulous actors. Ishaan Khatter and Vishal Jethwa. So we'll have a little discussion with them for about half an hour. Congratulations on this film. It's fabulous. Beautiful.
Louder.
Louder. Well,
Thank you, everyone.
okay. Maybe you can hear me now. Yes. Well, I wanted to start out this film. If you don't know the backstory of this film, I understand it started out with an image, a photograph that was taken in India of these two friends, just like at the scene in the movie where they were on the side of the highway, one cradling the other one in his arms. And there was also from that photo that went viral in India, right? There was an essay written in the New York Times about these two friends. And I understand that that story was the inspiration for this movie, right? Can you tell us about that real life story and how that inspired you to do this film?
So the real life story was the third act of the film that you just saw. Maybe you can increase the levels a bit. Okay, can you hear me now? Okay. Sorry.
Here, how if I do both?
No, I think I'll speak louder. This story is the third act of the film that you just saw. That was the essay. And when I read it, I was obviously very moved, and also invoked some childhood memories of mine, because I also come from the same Dalit background, the way Chandan does. And like him, I also masqueraded as a upper caste member for a very long time in my life, and living with that shame, that guilt, and that fear of being found and being abandoned by your peer group, that created a big um, sense of shame in me that defined me. And after many years, I decided to disown it, and I thought it's not my shame to carry anymore. It is the shame of the oppressor. Okay. So I thought I could. Anyway, so with this story, I felt that we could probe into contemporary India and ask the bigger question that the whole world is also grappling about. Is that we all see the migrant experience of what they go through, living in big cities, living in the towns. But the big question was, why do they leave their homes? And what do they leave behind? Their hopes, their dreams, their aspirations, their lovely food, and their families and their love. Um, that probe was the focal point of this film, apart from looking at marginalized identities and how they are always reduced to statistics. Even when we urban folks speak about them, we speak about them in numbers because it sort of reduces the guilt that we go through. It makes us feel better. So the effort was to remove that abstraction and to humanize and to make us feel that what do they really go through. These two were the main focal points of the film that I constructed. And like I said, the original story was about the third act when they get off the truck, and I fictionalized their entire backstory. Uh, bringing in the whole pursuit of employment and livelihood, and above all, dignity. That was the big one.
And our two actors who are fabulous in this. Congratulations. Do you remember that photograph or that story about these two friends? And what did you think when you first heard about it and maybe saw the photo?
Thank you for being here. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. This article was shared with us actually early on after we engaged with the script for the first time, and I think, as anybody would feel, it was quite devastating. I think that image is very hard to reconcile, and I think just on a very fundamental level, everybody has that one friend who is your confidant, who is, somebody that you can trust with all your being and share so many personal experiences with. And it's heartbreaking to see that society has different standards for different people, and some were just abandoned and left when the world went through this event. And I think befittingly, this film is about identity, and the very first thing as actors and as people, I think we started to question was our own identity and our own privileges. And I think that's what this film does for the audience as well. It gives you perspective that perhaps is too far, too much of a reach. And this journey has been like that for us. He took us on a journey. Mr. Neeraj Ghaywan, by the way, just to give you a little context, is one of the most phenomenal filmmakers we have, I think, working in the world today. As actors, we've all... Please, yes, please. I think he's one of those rare people that we need to protect because he still has his humanity intact, but he has he has superior craft to go with it. And so for all of us, we were vying to work with him. But I think when we read the story, we realized this film is much bigger than all of us. And I think knowing that it's based on a true incident increased that sense of responsibility for us. We put in a lot of work. We visited northern India. We would speak and sit with people, visit their homes. He gave us our costumes early on so we could, go in character. It was a journey for us, but it began with that article. Yes.
Hello everyone, Namaste. Thank you so much for being here. I feel so happy whenever I come to places like this, and it is a sacred place for us, and I'm so glad that you all are here. Thank you so much. Thank you. Uh, Okay, so about this article, we got to know when we started our workshop actually, and we saw that article and we read it, like we saw that first time when we were together. Um, that when we saw that, it did hit me, and the sense of responsibility it created and gave us. But at the same time, as an actor, you have to keep the balance between both of like your art and the responsibility, because knowing that it is based on a true story will give you a sense of responsibility. But if that overpowers you, it may come in the way, and it can affect your art. So it was, for me, I just had to balance between both the things.
One thing that Shoaib's character, played by Ishaan, wouldn't remember is that when we were shooting the bridge scene, and initially I was giving them all the material. I did show them the image, and then I withheld it from him. And when he was performing the bridge scene, where he's trying to revive, and I kept it as a thing that I didn't want to show it before. And he was in a daze of performance. He was, I think it was a very spiritual atmosphere to see the scene unravel, and for him to perform that way. And in the middle, I just showed him that image once. So that connection was there.
Can you tell us the names of the real people, and what happened to them and their families, and what do their families think of this film?
So the real names are Mohammad Sayyub and Amrit Kumar. Mohammad Sayyub, I mean, I tried to give away some hope in the film. I fictionalized that bit because in real life he did go to Dubai. He works construction, and in some big company he's working and driving. And when I met him in his village, we spoke a lot, but also he was an introvert. He wouldn't let out so much. And when I met the surviving family of Amrits, they couldn't speak at all. They would just cry. Any mention, they would just cry. They had a similar house like that. They had a torn photo of Ambedkar in their house. And recently, I mean, it was difficult for me because I didn't have the heart to make him go through the same trauma. But yet I knew that maybe it will be some kind of catharsis. And indeed it was. It took him 3 days to get over it. And he spoke to me and he said that, we didn't realize that our story and what it meant for me to live that friendship of his will be seen by everyone in the world. And even I mean, there is no theater there's no way to go there. But they managed to see it on a small phone or something. But they finally saw the film, and I don't want to explain. It's a personal feeling of what they said. But rather, I mean, it's personal for them. So.
And what about the reaction in India of this film? I mean, the people must be so proud, but I'm sure it must have been very difficult as well to make this film.
Indeed, it was, because when we made this film, I knew that the government is not going to be happy with this film, because it has everything that is going on with contemporary India at this point, with the caste persecution or the religious discrimination, and how it is internalized. It was earlier said that it is all fringe, but fringe is the mainstream now. And it's everywhere. Society is becoming that way. And so what I did was I did not name the place. I did not shoot in the actual location because I know it won't be allowed. So I shot in a different location, but I scammed them. I got the actual accent. So people who saw it, they really knew that, okay, this is that place. So I even created a fictitious name for the state. So they couldn't do much in the censorship. But then, of course, there was censorship, which was a tough battle. Uh, like for instance, the point when he comes out of the cricket match scene, and he says that they don't want it because because they don't see me as human. They only see my religion. And he says, educated folks like you can't say anything. What good are we? Those lines are gone because that's the moot point of the film. And some of the COVID bits, it was. And also, we had to put a very big disclaimer saying that the government did everything during the pandemic. And ironic, but I think people saw the irony as well. So, I mean, yeah, like there was a lot of choices that I did because I knew that how it's going to come out. So I didn't name any communities. Or like if you see the ally and the oppressor come from the same community. So they could not say that you're defaming a certain community. So those were certain choices that I made. And yeah, that's how I did it.
So in the film, actually, you had to, on screen, you had to put a disclaimer, and they cut out.
Not only did I have to put it in text, I had to do a voiceover in English and Hindi.
And did they come and cut out those scenes, like edit them out? Yes.
Yes, they did.
Wow.
Specifically those lines. I had to alter that. Yeah. But see, like the recruitment scene that you all saw when Chandan's character goes and this person keeps asking the question, the name. There was a line pivotal to his arc that is being said by the person. He shames him with that line, right? About the pig. That line is over. So, but people connected with so well, and I think regardless of what people do, you can't censor friendship. You can't, cut down the freedom of expression of people who want to express themselves freely. I think that's why it resonated so well, even if after the cuts in India it did do well.
Do you want to say a few words about that, and also what some of the scenes that were maybe the most heart-wrenching for you to play?
No, I actually want to take a leaf from his book, and it's a beautiful statement he's been saying through this press tour, which I think is very profound. He's always said connection is a form of resistance, and that is what they cannot take away from you. And I think that's what this film is ultimately. It's the bonhomie of the marginalized. They see each other even when nobody sees them. And we're talking about roughly 400 million people. We're talking about 400 million people that Muslims and Dalits combined in India. We're representing millions of realities, lived realities. And that was the hope and the idea with this film, is to really give that voice, to the voiceless. And I think that's what moved me the most. I think is the friendship itself it's wordless. It's the way that he throws himself between myself and a cricket bat that is being launched at me, or the police officer that's hitting me. And I think the way that he looks out for him like an elder brother, and pushes him to embrace his identity. I think that beauty is the film for me. In terms of difficult scenes, I think this was the first time in my life that usually as an actor, it is the scenes, the simpler scenes that sneak up on you, because the intense ones and the emotional ones you prepare for, and somehow they happen. But it's the smaller scenes that you don't expect, you don't see them coming. This is the first time, though, in my career that the most difficult scene on paper genuinely was the most difficult scene to perform, and that was the scene on the bridge. It was, in many ways, the film was hinging on that scene, and it was also very difficult for the production because we were shooting a pandemic, and this is, a very modestly budgeted film. We had to shut down that bridge. We would, do takes like the one that you saw, and then have to release the cars, and people would come through and be like, "Oh, can we take a selfie with you?" And and then you just have to re-immerse yourself, and so that was difficult to do. But I think it's just so beautifully written by him, and and we were all immersed in it by that point. So I think we got through it.
So for me, the most difficult scene, there are many, but the one coming in my mind first is that the scene sir spoke about, where Chandan Kumar comes to this recruitment office, um, and that was very difficult for me for two reasons. Firstly, because that is the first scene I shot for this film, and that kind of gave me a base to perform the whole film. And why I'm saying this was very difficult to perform, because Chandan Kumar is sitting there, and the whole life he had this shame in him, that and he is not able to accept himself as he is, because it's not him. Actually, he has this fear, then what if he tells everyone that he's from here, he belongs to this community, and he takes his full name, then the kind of treatment he's going to get from other person will be not so good. Like, people will treat him in a particular way. So the recruitment officer asked him about his surname, his caste, and his gotra, and a lot of things, and that kind of put him in a very difficult spot, which is very uncomfortable, where he wants to just escape from that position. He cannot face that, but at the same time the other person is showing that microaggression, and he's feeling so ashamed, and there is no scope to escape from there, and you cannot take that in. At the same time, you cannot fight back, because also you are not in that position, and we all have faced this spot in some or the other way in our life. So that was very difficult for me, but that kind of helped me also to perform throughout the film. Thank you.
So I didn't know before, but that Martin Scorsese is an executive producer of this film. How did that happen?
Oh, that is thanks to our co-producer, Melita Toscando Frontier. She was also my producer on my first film, Ishaan. And she knew him, so she sent him the script, and he really liked it. And he had some notes that he sent us over. And then I worked on the script again, so we did a couple of rounds on the script. And then again he came back when we showed him the first cut. And I did some editorial back and forth with him. And he was so precise about certain things. Like, he would always tell me that, Neeraj, stay with the boys. That's your main thing. And every filmmaker is greedy. We stuff in with so many ancillary characters and so many arcs. We want to make 3 films in 1 film. So he would guide us into telling us that, it is about the boys, so stay with the boys. So I did remove a lot of arcs from the film, which was heartbreaking for me. But in the interest of the film, I had to. And also, like, he would talk to me about smallest things. Like, he would say that if you come in a little early, this scene would be more effective. So those kind of things. And for a year and a half, he selflessly attached to the film. And I wondered about how we talk about how he being the biggest contemporary filmmaker alive at the moment, right? But for this man, he had no reason to do this, to stay with us for a year and a half while he was shooting for his own film. And selflessly, without any expectations, that kindness is something that I think is the reason why he is Martin Scorsese, I feel.
And I saw you have you and him in a conversation, an interview. That was amazing. Where was that? Where did that happen?
Oh, it was in New York, and I must tell you the backstage moments a bit more, because it's out there. I was so nervous. You're literally sitting across from your cinema god, and he is going to question me. It was unimaginable to me, and I was sweating, and I was like, I wanted to shake hands with him, and my hands were sweaty, and I did this, and he realized that I was nervous. And he's such a wise man. He came up with some jokes, and he spoke to us about how he was mistaken to be the hillside strangler. Yes, he was, and because of his height, and he was driving a Corvette, and Italian looking, and all of those. And he played around with the cops for a bit, and then he told them, no, I'm a filmmaker. So that eased me down so much, and I was totally like, so that moment is special. Like every independent filmmaker around this world dreams of that moment, and I've already lived it. So
So your film, it premiered at the Cannes Film Festival, is that right? And then it was also shown at the Toronto International Film Festival. And it was released in September. And here we are, award season here in Hollywood. What has that been like for you so far, and what are you expecting? I mean, well, let me put it this way. I'll be covering the Oscars, so I'll look for you on the red carpet.
thank you so much for saying that. Okay, I'm going to be brutally honest here. When we started out, we were only hoping to get to the Cannes Film Festival, and we literally finished the edit in 3 months, and we're down at Cannes. Since then, we don't have a great distributor from America, and we genuinely did not think we'll get this far. And we've been working really hard. We've been showing it at every place, and I really want to continue doing that, but I don't want to keep expectations because it's all we don't know. All we can do is work hard, and that's what we've been doing. And I mean, I wish we had some big distributor, big whatever, to take us to bigger spots, but here we are. I mean, we're really literally surviving from the love of people. Yeah.
Have you've been in LA before? All of you? Yeah, you have. So I'm very curious about what the independent cinema is like in India today. I mean, we're here in Los Angeles, Hollywood. We're going through our own changes in studios and mergers and everything. AI. I mean, there's so many issues going on now here in the film industry in this country, and I don't know what it's like in India.
It's
Same?
more or less the same. But I would still say, of course, there is a huge independent movement in America. There is an industry that supports it. There is a theatrical distribution system that supports it. Sadly, we don't have separate independent cinema theaters. What happens is that when a family of 4 is wanting to go out, they're spending like 5,000 rupees just with the family, with the popcorn and everything, the break and travel. They will go for a tentpole film because they want their kids to have a good time, and in the sense like they want them to. But for my film, they will not spend that much. So could there be avenues where it could be shown for 500 rupees, all inclusive? So maybe they think, okay, this is something that I might want to try. So there is no because what most filmmakers from India that we are trying, we are going through co-productions from Europe, and there is no sustainable model to. And this is the first time that like Dharma Productions is the biggest studio in India, and they funding this independent-minded film is a huge, huge change. And I hope it continues and people support more like that. We are also afraid of AI. We are also afraid of. We actually, genuinely speaking, we don't have an independent film system anymore because there is some funding that comes from the powers to be, but we have to align with that thought, if you know what I mean. So we can't be anti-establishment to get that funding.
I guess that's where the censors came in.
Yes.
But you know what they say about pro-humanity,
Yeah.
Say no.
No, I mean, I'm saying like I keep talking about it, but like I think people do understand, one should understand that we are not anti-establishment. We are pro-humanity, and that's what people have seen us do.
And I suppose that's part of the message of this film as well.
The message, of course, is about, like I said, is the contemplation and the introspection that must happen among all of us as we bear witness to world slipping into hatred, into labeling and othering and police brutality and whatnot. I think it's about time that we gently sit across and talk to each other and think maybe that we've gone too far, and we can agree to disagree, and we must. And that's a sign of a good, healthy democracy, that we agree to disagree, but we cannot deny the humanity that exists between us. And that will happen with empathy. That's the message of the film.
There's one photo of a very special person in India that is recurring throughout this film. Can you tell me about him? And I don't know if everybody noticed that too, on the walls, in the wallet. Yeah.
So that's Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar. He is the original reformer. He was the architect of our constitution. He also was the one who brought in equal rights for the low caste like me, for women, and for many other people. He brought affirmative action, and that led to, and I'll give you a straight example, like my dad, in his entire genealogy, he was the first person to go to school because of him, because he got affirmative action. And which is why I could go to a better school than him. And that's how it happened. So, caste system, like I told you earlier, that it's a 2,000-year-old system of social grading. The people are divided into social groups, where the people at the top are given all kinds of privilege purely because they're born into a certain family. People down the hierarchy are degraded, devalued, and dehumanized. And people outside the system are not even considered to be part of anything. They were the erstwhile untouchables. And I'm part of that community that so far has come this far. So it means a lot for us. Like all my sisters got married in the same way that you see here. Like we put his photograph and the Buddha to, that's how important he is. So he is a symbol of resistance for us. He's not just a leader, but a sign of, and it's also ironic that she's the mother at the weakest point in her life, where she's been shown that injustice and that disrespect to the Constitution. She looks up to his image, hoping things will change.
Did both of you want to say a few words about him as well?
No, I think the analogy that you've given also with humility and respect is it's like the MLK of India. You know, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was like he said, the architect of our constitution, and because of him, there was upwards mobility in that section of society, and he's a revered figure, and he is the reason that empowerment through education became a priority. You know, he stressed the fact that it is only through education that you can break these age-old shackles, and this gaslighting of 2,000 years that you are born different for whatever reason. You know, so it's a very claustrophobic position to be in, as you've seen in this film, and the thing is, it's so evasive because you can't. It's not something that you can characterize in appearance, in the color of your skin. It's like an invisible marking of identity.
Yeah, please. Actually, like they gaslight into telling you that it is your bad karma that you're born into this family, and your successive generations will form that. Now, another interesting tidbit about caste you have to know is that if you ask anyone, they'll say caste doesn't exist. It's in villages maybe, but everything is caste. You know, we choose our governments, we choose our people. Like people from the upper caste, which form like the 15% of the population, monopolize 90% of institutions. So it's everywhere, and yet people say it's not here. So it's actually the Schrodinger's cat, which people, it's there, but it's not there. So
Does it also have to do with your name? I mean, you can tell through
100%, and that is it's a very strange concoction of how people have coded it in your last name. So when a Muslim name, you can obviously understand for the first name itself, and there is a reaction now in India. But when you say your first name, and then they'll always be like, and there's always a scrutiny on the last name. The last name carries a sort of an etymology which makes you decipher the caste from your location, from where and whatnot. And it is something that, even till date now, like somebody asked me my last name, I still suddenly go back to that 2000-year-old history. And so that is something that is very uniquely Indian, to ask the caste name and scrutiny that follows with it. I don't know if someday it will happen that there won't be any other scrutiny.
I just wanted to end with just asking about.
Like, sorry, I didn't mention my last name for 35 years of my life. I appended a Kumar like Chandan does it, Kumar. That is sort of an ambiguous last name. So people carry that name so that nobody can decipher. And now I think you may understand the opening scene where Chandan goes and she asks him, "What's your name, Chandan?" And he can't say. And then he says Chandan Kumar. And she says Sudha Bharti because her last name is very easily understood that it's a Dalit name. It's a lower caste name. And she says it with pride. And that's why he could say his name Chandan Kumar. So that was the one. And that, they have this recognition among each other that I've got you. I see you, I'm here.
Thank you for that explanation, because it's a subtlety we in this country might not understand necessarily.
Even in India, people don't get that.
I wanted to ask you, both of you, your background stories, how you got to acting and got to this film. Yeah, you want to start?
How I started.
How you got to acting and how you got to film your background.
Okay, how I started. So in 2009-10, I started as a background dancer, and I saw one acting class there. I got so fascinated by the word acting. Like we all are fascinated by acting, actor, film industry, Bollywood, this, that. I was also one of them. I just felt like I'll just go inside and they'll give me dialogues of Shah Rukh Khan. I'll come out, paparazzi will be there. Nothing happened, and the first class of mine was so boring. But because of that first class, I am sitting here because sir told me like never give up, be professional, be a nice human being before being a good actor. So that was the key. Like that is the key guru mantra. And yeah, for 10 years I did in television, a few work in television, and in 2019 I got my first debut film from one of the biggest production house called Yash Raj Films. And how I got this role in Homebound. So one fine day, one casting director calls me saying Dharma is making this film. It's a 2-actor film. Would you like? And I was very keen. Like I'm the person. I was waiting for such opportunity where I could work with such big production house. So I just knew that Dharma production is the Karan Johar is producing the film. Neeraj Ghaywan sir is the director, and after that, cherry on the cake, I got to know that Ishaan Khatter will be my co-actor. So it was like more than enough to say yes, and I didn't get the chance to read the script. I didn't get this opportunity. Beggars can't be choosers, people say. And I was beggar that time. So I badly wanted to do this film. I badly wanted to work on that film. My right leg was injured. I couldn't walk. So while shooting also, while auditioning also, I was going on this supporter crutches. I was walking on that. He used to help me.
I was the crutch.
For a few days, yes, he was there. So I manifested a lot. I prayed a lot. I gave hard work, learned my lines, a lot of things I did, and finally I got the part. And I feel so blessed that I am part of this film. Like I can't ask God more than this. Like I am so happy. I am living my life in bonus. I am living my dream. I cannot ask more than this. I can happily take retirement after this.
Thank you. It would be a bad timing to retire now, but um, well, honestly, I don't know when it began for me because I think I was just hopelessly in love with films from as far as I can remember. I did have the good fortune of being born to an artist. My mom is a beautiful exponent of Kathak, which is an Indian classical dance form. And she was a very high young achiever. She was on a national postage stamp at the age of 14, and she's represented the country dancing at Tchaikovsky Hall and Queen Elizabeth Hall. She would do solos, and then she became a very young mother, and she had my elder brother who's about 15 years older than me. He also became an artist, and he broke out as a movie actor when he was 21. And then 15 years later, somehow I found myself in the same position, and I was able to start my career as a leading man. My first movie was with the Iranian author Majid Majidi. He made Children of Heaven, if you know that movie. He was the first Academy Award nominated Iranian filmmaker, and he made a film somehow serendipitously in India, and by some miracle I found myself in it. It was the most unconventional audition ever. He gave me two scenes about this character, and he said, "Now show me the character." And I had to shoot my own movie pretty much for him. But that's how it began, and then my second film, my sophomore feature as a leading man, was with Dharma Productions, with Mr. Karan, Johar, who's the producer of this film. And fast forward 7 years later, I'd done a smattering of work. I just did my first series in America called The Perfect Couple. And he called me up. I was filming for something, and he called me up and he said, "Mr. Neeraj Ghaywan's making a movie." And I said, "Yes, and?" I've been a fan of his for 10 years now. Just before I became an actor, he made a beautiful film called Masan, which had many similar themes of identity and of loss and humanity. And it was one of the best Indian films I have seen to date. And I had manifested working with him ever since. And so I jumped at the opportunity. And then I read the script, and like I said, I realized this film is bigger than all of us and our careers and whatnot. So it was just surrender from there on, and the rest is history.
Guys, you guys are already in the film. So you don't have to praise me as much because
This is for the next one. He's retiring, but I'm still available.
Let's hear your story too, quickly. Yeah.
I'll make it brief. I spoke to you about how I hid my identity, and but I didn't have a filmy background. I grew up in South India, and to academic parents, so naturally gravitated towards academia. I did my engineering, and then I was confused because I wanted to come to America to pursue my masters. But at that time, September 11 happened, and they weren't issuing visas. I stayed back. I pursued MBA, and then, as any snooty MBA would do, I went into corporate life and became an even more snootier corporate person. Uh, but all along, I think there was this penchant for films, and uh, and in our MBA lecture, we had one class of filmmaking, and they shown us Satyajit Ray's film, and they spoke of art, and that's when I started seeing films as art form. Earlier, it was just like me and my buddy, we would pick up beer bottles and watch a western. But then afterwards, it shifted, and slowly I got engrossed and started writing about films, and I started reviewing world cinema, and for a blog, and then one fine day, it attracted me so much that I think I quit a very high-paying job, and I moved to Bombay, and I started assisting this filmmaker called Anurag Kashyap. And much to my thing, my parents stopped talking to me because they didn't like me going to film line. They didn't speak to me about for a whole year, and I felt so offended at that time. But then this love for cinema, like it keeps you on the toes, and yeah, I mean they were hardships and all that, but I was just happy that I was getting to work on a set. So first film happened, and then this film again. I haven't done any feature film for the past 10 years after Pasan, my first film, because I was trying to find some story that really moves me. I was interested in. I developed some films, but I believe that your politics can't supersede your narrative. And it was happening with other films that I developed, and I gave them up because even that is a propaganda then. So I wanted something that is very narrative based and story, and that can really speak to people who are denied visibility, and about whom institutions rather invisibilize them. And my task and my responsibility as an artist is to bring them to fore, make them seen and heard and validated. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much. And any last words? Because I mean, I'm sure everybody might have a chance to say hi to you after this, but
Maybe we can take a question from the audience instead of my last 40 words. If anyone has it. Oh, there's someone. Yeah.
I was a little confused, and I'm an Indian, and I was a little confused by the ending. Did he accept the Chandan's
I hear you.
I mean, I got the idea when he goes into college to kind of fulfill Chandan's dream.
Yes, that's
But
correct.
that later was very confusing. Did he assume that person?
No, actually he didn't, because see, that is something that's still niggling in my head, and I could have done better. I could have done it differently, because he did not impersonate Chandan, or he did not take up his identity.
Okay.
Because when the letter comes in, he realizes that finally Chandan got this thing, but then he realizes the irony of it, that it's too late. And he looks at the parents and he doesn't want them to go through the trauma. So he chooses not to give them.
Okay.
But he pursues education, which is what Chandan had dreamt for him.
Okay.
So he fulfills the friend's promise by building a house for his family and pursuing education instead of going to Dubai.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry.
Oh. So even with Karan, Johar and Dharma Productions, you still had problems with the government in showing it in India, and there was a lot of censorship?
I mean, every film goes through censorship, and there are always these things. But yeah, Karan Johar has been a rock to this film. Like, he stood with me in every meeting, in every interaction with the CBFC, with the government dignitaries, and in fact, I would say without his support, we wouldn't have gotten this far.
He's the reason we're sitting here.
Yeah. I think we are out.
yes, we're out of time. I'm sorry, but maybe.
How do they charge their cell phones?
This one we had cracked because I forgot they made this thing, because it was just a 3-day journey. And the last call that he makes, after that the phone, that's why I couldn't call anyone.
Thank you so much, and congratulations on that film. Thank you.